Good morning, everybody. It's your boy King Crowder, checking back in with another edition of History You May Not Know, or Things That May Not Be Known to You. Today's lesson will come all the way down to Vicksburg, Mississippi. This lesson is known as the Vicksburg Massacre that happened in 1874. Why is this so important to know? This focused on one of America's first pillars, the freedom and the right to vote for you as citizens. This situation happened when literally a white organization when the white organization wanted to defend their rights to hold land and political power in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The blacks in that area championed a gentleman who was a former veteran, war vet, military leader named Peter Crosby. Mr. Crosby was such a leader in Vicksburg, Mississippi, he began to get the public support and champion what a native Vicksburgian was really like and what he stood for. The support among the blacks in that area was really strong and prevalent. The reason why it was such a huge deal around this time is that they knew they had the rights to vote, and blacks all throughout the South put Republican leaders in office. What was unique about Vicksburg, Mississippi is that they had ideology was, no, we are holding something known as the White Line movement. The White Line movement began to get steam post-Reconstruction. Mostly Louisiana and Mississippi had the White Line movement known coming in from the white leagues. And only white men were determining political ideology, leadership in this country. This is something really important because in history, we never heard about how the White Line movement was truly upheld in our early learning. This one championed that no, only whites can make rules of laws, only whites can be treasurers, only whites can hold political offices and campaigns. This movement was so strong that they wanted to make sure racial policies stood so strong and segregation was so solid. This is where the foundation of the Jim Crow era movement came from. It didn't just come from anywhere. The Jim Crow movement had the very fruits and labor of their ideology grow up and spurred from this type of language that was talked about. When the election came around and the blacks knew their rights, each one of them still voted in Mr. Crosby. He won an eye-opening, bold political move of a black Republican around this time. The reason why it was such a big deal is because he was the first to ever do that. Natives around there were so worried that he made such a landmark decision. Word went around about his assassination. His assassination was so talked about among the whites because their white rage around the time spoke about how they were upset that the blacks union basically formed a coalition to still do what they could to get to ensure their freedom. The one thing that nobody talks about is that the reason why they couldn't control these black individuals because they was completely separate and had their own economy. This Vicksburg Massacre is such a sad tragedy because once they knew they couldn't control them and influence them politically, the people in that area went to killing them. That was the only thing left they could do. So all the blacks in that area had their own separate gas station, had their own social grocery stores, linen places, treasury offices, banks. Everything was completely separate because they were so self-sufficient. Once the massacre started, you began to see whites just going up into the town, open fire. This is the same story we see repeated multiple times. They opened fire on the Vicksburg citizens, and as they were trying to flee and leave, you even see people coming from the Louisiana side shooting the Vicksburg residents. The reason why this is such an eye-opening experience, and this is one of the ground home thing that established that we can shoot you and there was nothing done about it. Because Vicksburg Massacre happened kind of before. A lot of the other ones happened during the Red Summer. So that kind of ideology began to spread that we're going to just kill you if we can't stop you. Vicksburg, Mississippi is one of the first acts of when white people just shot the guys that would literally got to the Reconstruction era. You saw this copied and done in multiple parts of the states. But the whole non-fear of law enforcement pursuing us, even though we're killing U.S. citizens, is being done and sparked in this case. This should be focused on as one of the first case studies, because it's happened in 1874, as when we see that if you can't control a people and they have their own freedom and right to self-govern themselves, they will flourish. What we see from this acts of terror is that once this happened, you began to see it rinse, right, and repeat itself all across the country. The story of Vicksburg speaks of a national pillar being denied and a national service being denied. So we see one of the foundation parts of America being denied from this study. I think it's really important to learn, see, and educate ourselves on situations like this so we can learn the true factors of our history. It's your boy, King Crowder. Check him back out again, man. I appreciate your time. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Any video or information you would like to add to this. I would like to know that as I'm learning this documentation, I definitely think it's important to spread this knowledge. I definitely think it's important to know. Peace.